Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today to talk about a topic that is actually quite near and dear to my heart. And a lot of what we've done at Coresight already has helped us better understand this technology and the solution. And so I want to very much welcome Alex DeVion. He's the CEO of Infinite and was introduced to me by a very good friend. So Alex, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thank you for having me. Great to be here.
So as we were talking about this before, in getting ready for this call, at Coresight, we've spent a lot of time and effort, doing global cross-border e-commerce. And we've very much seen how, kind of different regions have, approach their e-commerce descriptions, the number of photos that they have, embedded, kind of videos and whatnot. And based on that, right, we see a significant difference in return rates. Can you talk a little bit about how the solution kind of helps retailers solve for some of this kind of e-commerce pain that they often face?
Yeah, sure. So today, one of the biggest pain of the e-commerce merchant is having enough visual content for their product to basically avoid deception from their consumer. This is the first need. And therefore, today, the solution, the only solution that they have is using classic photographic pictures, which is either from the suppliers, which is all undifferentiated, often scrappy, not enough in terms of amount and not customizable, or power very expensive photo studios, which is, take a lot of time, cost a lot of money, a lot of overhead, and an enormous carbon impact. And at the end of the day, what you have is a perishable asset. So the CGI, computer generated imagery powered by Infinite platform, enable them to basically transform 2D information from their catalog into 3D model, enabling them to create basically unlimited product visual experiences to first, complete their product detail page with enough images for the shopper to feel comfortable to shop online.
So it's interesting, when I think of CGI, I think of like the virtual influencer who, works 24 hours a day and doesn't need to eat, sleep, or drink. How does that CGI differ from this CGI?
So basically, to your point, CGI is what we call a new technology based on 3D, but we use computer generated imagery first to solve an existing pain. So we do very simple thing, which is basically we're going to use the 3D technology and a platform to create images that the consumer will think is a classic photo pictures. So product on a live background, product focus, product in a context. This is what we would say is the merchandising standard pack in order for you to be able to sell a product online. So we use that to do this. So it's the normal output, but then after you can reuse the product in 3D to create more, what you're calling more virtual experiences, a 360 augmented reality experience, or if you get more adventurous, go into the metaverse experiences with the same asset.
Well, and I think what's interesting is you talk about this standard. I mean, looking at some platforms, right, the standard, the image is very fuzzy, right? It's difficult, like even especially if you're talking food or ingredients or whatnot, right? You're like squinting, you're like, it must be me, right? It can't be this image. Can you talk? I mean, I think that what you're talking about is taking the standard to another level. Can you maybe help reference that?
Yeah, I think to your point, I think as interesting study by Google says, in 2016, the consumer, expectation was, get 2 images per product. In 2018, it was 5 images. Now the consumer just expects more. It expects more immersion. It expects more customization. It expects to see more the product in context. So today, basically what the technology can enable to do is to provide the consumer the experience he expects to be able to shop online. And to your point, the experience differs according to the product category. But what is for sure is that the former like supplier standard catalog images is not enough. Even it has been proven for the most basic product like Tide or whatever, you need more immersion to be able to get more conversion. And if you A/B test between retailer A with just standard like catalog images, fuzzy like you said, or real merchandising experience, there is no comparison. The engagement and the conversion rate, price being similar, of course, is going to be to the one that provides the best merchandising experience.
Well, but I think you actually bring up a very important point, right? Where even the Tide, right? If the size is fuzzy, if I can't, right? If I don't necessarily even understand exactly what I'm buying, all the way to, right, a kind of luxury garment where I want to kind of really look at exactly what does the lace look like, or what are the details. I think it really is kind of from the very basic, right, kind of product and price point to, luxury and everything in between. How do you see different categories, different price points, adopting this technology? And despite what's being adopted, where do you think is the greatest opportunity?
So just before answering the question, I think it reminds me of a discussion I was with a webinar with someone from one of the largest retailers in the planet, and she was advocating for, like, this woman who's head of marketing, advocating for better e-merchandising experience across categories, and she had a question by one of the person and say, hey, but why is it useful for normal classic categories like Tide or normal food? And the woman stopped and say, hey, I don't understand the question. We've been fighting in stores for shelf space and the packaging, the visual, ability for the consumer for Tide for 70 years in store, and you're saying to me that online it's not important? But this is where I'm getting at. It's important across categories, and it makes a difference. Now, if you had to rank it, of course, you would have the thing that needs you to fall in love with that product. Luxury brands, home and decor, cosmetics would be maybe have a higher priority. But at the end of the day, even if you're looking at a salad, which we're doing with some French European retailers, if you see a salad on a white background or a salad on a table and a plate, the shopper, and it's just human, will just click on where he can protect him or herself. And so it goes across categories, but yes, you should start with the categories which are more inspirational.
So you just brought up a topic which I haven't heard mentioned very much, which is e-merchandising. Can you define that for us?
Yeah, for us, e-merchandising is the science, some say the art, but I say the science of creating product visual experiences that match customers' expectation in order to create lift in your e-commerce KPIs. And so the e-commerce KPIs that we look are first the traffic, because e-merchandising is creating a product experience, and experience online is content, so you create more content. It's engagement, because it creates animation around the product. It's average cart value, it's conversion rate, and it's also by creating more product experience, like why AR is important, because you can protect yourself, what you buy, therefore you're not deceptive when you get the product, so you don't have a rate of return that is high.
So in this day and age, you brought up the metaverse earlier, but this idea that there are, it's limited quantity, limited time, limited offer. So, you need visualization for, let's say it could be a run of 200 or 300 items, and this idea around personalization. How does, this kind of newer approach to thinking about imagery, how does that help retailers and brands alike?
So, yeah, I think the retailers and brand are both in the same game. So retailers, they have the shopper experiences, generally shopper facing experiences. So they need to adapt to what consumers expect. Consumers are more and more in virtual worlds, whether it's video games, whether it's the metaverse, they expect more immersion. So it helps just them matching what their shopper wants. By doing that, they get more traction, more sales, which helps the brand sell more on their products. So basically what we really are doing with e-merchandising, it's transforming, their product catalog into digital asset that can basically create unlimited visual experience, from the most basic, like some of our customers use this for printed catalog, which is kind of crazy using 3D to do that, to the most advanced in the metaverse, or why not, showing your product, on a video game. So this is the range you can address. And at the end of the day, this e-merchandising experience matches the whole shopper journey, from advertising to social content to website experience to in-store to AR at home, or to remarketing or retargeting. This is why I think is the power of e-merchandising, being able to touch the consumer on all his journey with a customized, and intelligent and improved experience.
It's interesting bringing up the idea of the catalog. I mean, we're actually seeing some companies return to that, because we all get so little mail these days that they actually have a much better conversion. But right, consumer expectations of anything that's tangible is so high, right, I think right when they start there, right, then the bar is even kind of higher when you're moving online. Can you talk about, right, this idea around kind of lifestyle and interactive images, right? If we're looking at like lifestyle as, kind of in a hard copy, and they're moving into interactive, how do those two kind of engage and interact with each other as well?
Yeah, I think to your point, when you're shopping online, exactly what you said, you expect more. I mean, you don't see you don't touch the product. You can't make an idea of yourself. So you need more immersion, and then immersion starts with a basic picture, but it's not enough. You need to see all the angles. You need to see the material, so a zoom, and then you need to project yourself. So what has a massive impact on conversion is showing a product in a context, and it has an even greater impact if the context relates to the consumer's tastes. So this is what I would say one of the most initial needs of a product detail page is having product in context. This is the first thing. And then from that, the consumer, and depending on the product category, but for example, for home, augmented reality, having an interactive experience with the product is becoming a must-have, because you need to be able to reassure yourself that the thing that you're buying is going to fit well in your home. Same for what apparel, this is the same thing. And then you can create a lot of different interesting interactive experience, which enables you to customize, the experience that you see in order to play it, to feel reassured, and then to shop.
You bring up a point. I remember somebody saying to me, the biggest mistake people make is buying furniture, big in terms of size and big in terms of dollars. And going back to, right, this idea, if you can use AR to visualize the item in your home or in your kind of office or whatever it might be, and make a better decision, it seems like there's a huge sustainability element here, maybe more important in home than anything else. But can you help us kind of think through that as well?
Yeah, so again, it's a funnel, so from the top of the funnel on the traffic to the guy, the person, the shopper who's going to, he's going to buy, the merchandising experience he or she needs differs. So you start with classic, product on white background. Then he's more interested, he sees a product in context, then he's even more interested, he or she is even more interested, going to play around with seeing a 360, going to zoom in, and then at the end of the day, for home, to your point, being able to see the product in your home is very important. And it's also correlated to the price you pay, of course, because the mistake is bigger. So yes, this becomes a must-have. And I'm not sure today that the KPI shows it for Tide, for example. Do you have to see it at home? I'm not so sure. But for these product categories, this is very important. And yes, to your point, it is, because you have uncertainty on what you're buying. If this gives you more certainty, which it does when you see it in your home, you will not be deceptive. I mean, have deception, and therefore you will not have return or less return. So this is key.
That's very helpful. And we really, I think, spent a good chunk of time here helping to educate people on the problem and what the solve is. Can you talk a little bit more specifically about Infinite and how they help companies to like lower costs and also improve speed to market?
Yeah. So so basically what we do at Infinite, so we're a SaaS e-merchandising platform. Our mission is to empower online merchants to basically create, unlimited visual experiences, but with a sustainable approach. And the way we do that is we use 3D technology. So what we do is we come to a retailer and we focus on the pain. And the main pain for a lot of retailers is, how can I improve my experience on my product detail page? I need more, to your point earlier, I need more images, more lifestyle, more immersion. And then from that, do I need more interactive experiences? And when we do that, we come and we digitize its product catalog from 2D to 3D. And then by doing that, we transform a former expenses, which was a photo shoot, into an asset to create unlimited visual experiences. So we have two levels of values for the merchant. First of all, it's efficiency. Efficiency because it is cheaper than classic photographic pictures. It's up to 2x, even sometimes more cheaper than a classic photo shoot, while having, at the end of the day, a 3D asset that you can use. So reusability is very important. Second of all, it's faster. Shooting a product, it's logistic. Renting a studio, it takes weeks and weeks and weeks. We're dividing that, by between 40 to 50% that lead time, which is basically a lot of money, because you can put your product on sale before, faster, so you get return faster. So this is on the efficiency cost. Not to mention, it's out logistics. We don't need the physical product, so you have a positive impact because you don't have a carbon footprint when you're shooting a product. And then at the end of the day, there is then the lift. Because you're creating more imagery, because you're creating more reassurance, more customization, more more interactivity around the product, you have an impact on traffic, conversion, average cart value, and reducing rate of return.
One thing as I take a giant step backwards and really think about the opportunity, one of the greatest challenges that, we have in the kind of world of product is we don't really, right? We've done a lot of testing and, art and science and all that. We don't really know what the consumer is going to react to. How can this technology, how can Infinite help companies think about test and trial and, maybe, right, there are different ways to think about sustainability, right? If we can get the right product and get the proper depth of it, there's also, and get it in the right geo, how do we kind of bring all of that together, and how can Infinite help?
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. And for me, it's one of the biggest value of the technology. And there's two steps for that. The first step is, to your point, you can, basically before putting a product to market, A/B test if it's going to work. So because you don't have logistics, so you can A/B test pre-sale, and then according to that, adapt your product line for that. And the other thing, which is even more obvious, is, you online in e-commerce, we A/B test everything, and there is a direct, correlation between the customization of the shopper journey in the funnel and the sales. The only thing we're not A/B testing today is the product visual. Why? Because even if you were to test it, you can't change it. You will not reshoot the product. It doesn't work. So what Infinite does is it enables you to A/B test what kind of product visual, what kind of product visual type, works according to a cohort, for you to be able to personalizing the online merchandising experience to your geography, to your segment, or even to your shopper, de facto having a better impact on your sales.
That's great. So I'll wrap it up, because it's always helpful to kind of take the kind of intangible and make it tangible. Can you talk about either a recent case study or how you've engaged with a retailer or brand to help us kind of crystallize this and bring it home?
Yeah, sure. So we had a customer in Europe called De La Maison, and they partnered online because they didn't have any solution to create online visuals. So basically, they only had stock visuals, which were very limited. So without us, they wouldn't have any product visual experiences with a product in context. And they used us, and they basically saved, increased their average cart value by 30%, while almost upping 25 to 33% their conversion rate on their catalog. And it's pretty simple. Before they had a product on a white background, product in context just saved more. So it's a dramatic sales lift for this customer to be able to work with you, while also creating a whole new brand experience. They leveled up their brand by being able to provide a better, more immersive shopper experience through online merchandising. So they were basically going from, we only have product on white backgrounds, pretty scrappy, undifferentiated, to a real inspirational online experiences that, attracted more traffic, and then through more immersion, created more sales.
So I'll conclude with this. It was really your last few comments, because right now with the whole cookie apocalypse, right? I mean, what we've seen, especially in the second quarter, is a dramatic change in the slope of the line in conversion in e-commerce. And so this is really one of the top priorities, is to either kind of, get, if you have a loyalty program, what more can you do with it to kind of communicate directly with your customer? But everything around conversion and e-commerce is really kind of, especially as we're going into the holiday season, is incredibly, important and a real focus point. So I think it's really interesting that you mentioned that. So I'll wrap things up. I mean, we hit on so many interesting topics, and once again, I do think that we have all changed our level of expectations of what we see online. And in order to, especially I think in many, right, where people are looking more at either, ingredients or even kind of fabric content, fabric where it's sourced, being able to kind of see all of that, I think is increasingly important to the consumer. We think about personalization, the sustainability element here, right? E-commerce conversion, and, just kind of how do we really kind of think about, this opportunity to decrease costs where, so much else is going in the other direction. It really seems like the right product at the right time. So Alex, thanks for joining us. A lot to kind of digest here, and we look forward to talking to you soon.
Thank you so much, Deborah.
Thanks.